All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to take 13 years of Alex Hormozi's hard-won business knowledge and distill it down into a single actionable blueprint. And look, his principles, they're brutally honest, but they are famously effective. This is the no-nonsense guide to building a 9-figure business. Let's dive in. So, $100 million. Let's just let that sink in for a second. This number, this is why we're paying attention. By the time he was 31, Hormozi had built a net worth of over $100 million. And he didn't do it by some random luck, but by following a really clear, repeatable set of rules. And that's the framework we're going to unpack today. And in his own words, this isn't just some textbook theory. Not at all. This is a compression of over a decade of wins, losses, and, some pretty painful lessons. It's basically the high-value shortcut he wishes someone had handed him when he was just starting out. Okay, so what is the very first principle in this 9-figure blueprint? Well, it's something you already have, but I'm guessing you're probably not protecting it fiercely enough. Yep, that's it. Focus. Early on in your journey, your most valuable resource isn't your money. It's your time and your attention. Think of it like a fire hose. Where you point that thing, that determines absolutely everything. We've all heard that advice, right? Millionaires have 7 streams of income. But honestly, for beginners, that's a total trap. Hormozi talks about this entrepreneur he met. Get this, the guy had 56 different companies. 56! But his total revenue, only $10 million. He was spread so thin that his main business just couldn't grow. And that's the key lesson here. Diversification is for preserving wealth, not for building it from scratch. And this right here, this visualizes the problem perfectly. If you try to fill 7 cups at the same time, what happens? You just end up with 7 half-empty cups. It's simple math. None of them ever get to overflow with profit. The key is to pour all of your time, all of your attention into one cup, one business, until it is overflowing. Only then do you use that overflow to start filling up other cups. And this timeline, man, it just brilliantly shows why that focus is so critical. Every new thing you start follows this exact path. You start out super optimistic, like this is going to be great. Then, bam, reality hits, and you land in what he calls the valley of despair. And right there, in that valley, that's the danger zone. That's where almost everyone quits. They see another shiny new opportunity, they jump to that, and they start the whole painful cycle over again. The winners? They're the ones who stay focused, push through that valley, and make it to the other side. All right, let's build on that. The second pillar, once you've got your focus dialed in, the next big question is, who are you actually focused on serving? And what problem are you solving for them? Because the answer is absolutely critical. And Hormozi's advice here is pretty blunt. Solve rich people problems. They pay better. Look, this isn't about morality, it's just pure strategy. It is so much easier to build a business selling high-ticket stuff to people who can actually afford it. Just think about it for a second. If you want to compete with a giant like Walmart or Amazon, you need insane scale and ruthless efficiency from day one. It's a volume game, plain and simple. But if you build for premium, wealthy niche, you can charge premium prices. And that gives you breathing room. You can have some inefficiencies, you can make a few mistakes, and you can over-deliver on service and still be wildly profitable. For a new entrepreneur, that is a much more forgiving path. So, okay, how do you actually create that insane premium value? Well, Hormozi boils it down to this simple but honestly genius value equation. Basically, your offer becomes a total no-brainer when you crank up the top 2 things for your customer and slash the bottom 2. You increase their dream outcome and their belief that they'll actually get there. Then you decrease the time it takes and the effort they have to put in. The classic example is a personal trainer, right? They sell you the dream outcome, the perfect body. They show you testimonials to crank up your belief that it'll work. Then they give you a 90-day plan to shrink the time, and they provide meal plans to crush the effort. That right there, that's a grand slam offer. All right, this leads us right into our third core principle, and this one is a really powerful mindset shift. In the long run, sustainable growth doesn't come from just getting bigger, it comes from getting better. And this story, man, it is the perfect example. You had Boston Market, right? They were the mercenary. They were just chasing growth for the sake of getting bigger. They took on a ton of debt, expanded way too fast, their quality tanked, and they went bankrupt. Then you have Chick-fil-A. They were the missionary. They were completely obsessed with making a better product, a better experience. Their whole belief was, if we get better, customers will demand that we get bigger. And wow, were they right. Better always leads to bigger. Bigger alone just leads to bloat. So here's the takeaway, and it's a big one. If your business is stuck, the problem is almost always the main thing you sell. It's not your fancy marketing funnel or the font on your website. It's the product. It's the service. That's the big, obvious thing that, honestly, most of us want to avoid looking at. This is a question Hormozi asks all the time, and it's a tough one. Have you actually used your own product or service recently? Like, really used it as a customer? A lot of founders, they haven't. And they avoid it because facing the hard truth that your baby is just kind of mediocre, that's a huge blow to the ego. But you can't fix what you won't face. Okay, and that leads us perfectly into the final and maybe the most powerful piece of this whole blueprint. Once your product is solid, your ultimate leverage, it's people. It's all about getting the right people on the bus. I love this quote. It's such a powerful reminder that your company's potential isn't defined by the team you have today. It's defined by the quality of the people you're going to hire tomorrow. Your hiring literally sets your ceiling. And this right here, this is what Hormozi calls talent arbitrage. It's this killer idea that you get this totally outsized return by hiring top-tier talent. So look, a B player might cost you, say, 100 grand. An A-plus player might cost you 170K. But here's the thing, they don't just produce 70% more. No way. They can produce 10 times the output. Paying a premium for truly exceptional people is one of the highest return investments you will ever make. It's not an expense, it's pure leverage. So the big question is, how do you actually spot these A players? Well, Hormozi has a pretty simple checklist. First, you got to interview dozens of candidates. You have to. It's the only way to get a real baseline for what good even looks like. You'll notice that A players, they always talk about what they've done using specific metrics, both the quantity and the quality. And this is the kicker. Ask them directly, how does what you do make this business money? If they can't give you a straight answer, they just don't get it. And this final quote, man, it just brings everything we've talked about full circle. Whether it's that really tough conversation to let a B player go, or it's going all the way back to the drawing board to fix a product that just isn't great, the real magic, the breakthrough you're looking for, is almost always hiding in the work you're avoiding. So as we wrap this up, the final question isn't for me, it's for you. In your business, your career, your life, what's that hard, important work that you know deep down you need to do, but you keep putting it off? Because I guarantee you the answer to that question, that's where your next breakthrough is waiting.